Hey guys, ready for part 2?
Oh wait, so let's do like an intro to this video.
Right. That was my intro.
Okay.
My bad. What were you thinking?
Well, welcome to part 2 of our Q&A.
Okay.
If you missed the part 1, you can go back and there's links or something. You can watch part 1 of this, but we are answering your questions that you sent into Mary's Instagram by video.
Thank you so much. I love this aspect of this Q&A because I get to see your faces. Oh, I just love you. So, here's the first question.
Hi Mary, hi Peter. My name is Katie. I am from Hamburg in Germany, and I was just wondering whether you ever got the chance to travel to any other countries besides Scotland. Thanks a lot. Love your videos. Love Ollie. Bye bye.
In addition to Scotland, I've been to Canada and Mexico.
I really have enjoyed getting all these questions from international viewers.
Yeah.
Like, we got so many of these questions. I have my first time leaving the United States was when we flew to Scotland, but we accidentally walked out of the airport on our way to Scotland. We walked out of the airport in England, and so that was the only time I spent time in England, but because we accidentally walked out of the airport, I can say I've been to England and Scotland.
Way to turn a mistake into a victory.
Hi Mary, and Peter and Ollie of course as well. My name is Mila, and I was wondering if throwing up so often from coughing has affected your teeth and if there's anything that can be done about that.
What a perfectly timed question. I just saw the dentist a few days ago, and I can say that at this point, my teeth have not had any damage from it, and I'm really grateful for that because that makes sense that that could be potentially damaging.
Yeah,
so at this point...
Yeah, and medications that Mary goes on can often cause tooth damage. I think Mary has like good dental genes because her teeth have been able to withstand it so far.
Yeah, but I know that some CF patients, as their body gets sicker, their teeth also take a hit, and so I know that there may be a day when cavities are numerous and there may be other issues. So until that day, I'm just going to be grateful for the stability of my teeth and the strength, and
keep brushing.
Keep brushing.
Hi, my name is Allie, and I was wondering if you could be any animal, what would it be?
I'd be a liger.
Oh.
What's a liger?
It's pretty much my favorite animal. It's like a lion and a tiger mixed. Bred for its skills and magic.
I'd be a monkey.
Because you love monkeys so much, or you have long arms?
I have long arms.
No, for real, I think it'd be really cool to be able to fly.
I thought you were going to say, I think it'd be really cool to be a liger.
Hi, Mary. I'm Angela. I'm curious, what's your favorite medical word? Thank you so much for answering.
Okay, favorite medical word. This is a hard one.
Medical word.
Medical word.
Well, it's a great question for a medical nerd. The first thing that comes to my mind is a fake word.
What?
Cobbler. It's Mary's made up word for the thing that organizes medicines.
The word that I've probably said the most in my life is Altrace, which is not even the name for the enzymes that I take. That's a medical word.
It used to be when you were a child. Yeah. It was the name of the medication.
I'll tell you my definitely not favorite word. Cystic fibrosis. Sometimes I can't even say it. And I'm not even kidding you. Sometimes when people like maybe in a store or something hear me coughing and they're like giving me the eyes and I'm like, oh, I have cystic fibrosis. Like sometimes I trip up on the word and then it sounds like I don't even know what I have.
Well, and I know that Mary kind of like despises the word cystic because it sounds like septic or cyst. Yeah. And so I know that a lot of people in the CF community like they use the kind of what is it? Words of sister for like females.
C-Y-S-T-I-C. Oh wait, no. C-Y-S-T-E-R. Yes.
And then fibro. Wait, like, so it's kind of
like a play on
It's
words.
kind of a cute play on words, but Mary's like, I don't want to be called a sister.
Oh, because it's like the cyst part of it? Or worse than that. Like, that's fine. But
I like how this question turned into our least favorite.
we're doing the opposite. The least favorite is when somebody's like, oh yeah, she's a cystic.
Oh.
Okay, I gotta find my favorite.
Well,
Splenomegaly.
Splenomegaly is a pretty good.
It's my enlarged spleen. It's called splenomegaly.
That's a good one.
Should we go with that?
I think so.
We'll go with that.
I think that's the winner.
Hey, I'm Ellen. I was wondering, what's one thing you wish you were just naturally good at?
Perfect follow-up. One thing I wish I was naturally good at is ASL, American Sign Language. Someday.
I wish I was good at singing. And I kind of like that I'm not good at singing because I really don't care all that much. But like, I just sing out of tune. And so if I was naturally good at that, it might be more pleasant for people around me at church, but who cares?
Who cares?
Hi, Mary and Peter. My name's Erin, and I've been watching you guys since 2015. As someone with a visual impairment and other invisible disabilities, I've often been offered accommodations that don't pertain to my disability, so sign language interpretation for someone who's visually impaired, for example. I was wondering what the funniest accommodation you've been offered that doesn't pertain to your disability is.
I cannot even.
That's pretty funny.
I mean, since so many of those sorts of things happen in our lives with chronic illness, whatever it is, we just have to laugh because otherwise we're just gonna cry. So, way to make the most of it. We were like really trying to rack our brains about this one.
Yeah. I think one that happens often, and it's not really, it seems like a relevant accommodation. It seems relevant for people to offer Mary a cough drop when she's coughing. But
right.
Sometimes it's a little awkward.
Well, okay, so I'm not actually allowed to to have cough drops because my body needs to cough. We don't want to suppress it. So it's logical that somebody would hear me cough and then offer me a cough drop. Logical. But of course I say thank you so much, or whatever. But the part that's like a little tricky and a little cringy is that sometimes they pull it out of their pocketbook, like the nasty cracks down in the like cruddy part of the pocketbook, or like in their pocket, so it's like warm. And I'm like, thank you so much.
And the reality is that very often people carry cough drops when they're sick.
Don't even.
And so like, it's like, it seems like irrelevant, and we understand that it's like coming from like a heart of compassion.
Totally.
But inside of us, we kind of cringe when somebody offers a cough drop because of those reasons.
You just never know where that cough drop has been.
So, thank you if you've ever offered a cough drop or a cup of water or whatever it is. It is much appreciated.
Hi, Peter and Mary. I'm Ellie. I actually have cystic fibrosis too. You inspired me with the cart. Anyway, my question is, Mary, how did you, for high school, did you do, part homeschooling or, online school? Or how did you work out your school schedule with your meds in high school?
Good question. I was homeschooled all the way up, and that was partially a decision because of cystic fibrosis, probably mostly a decision because of that. And because of that, I didn't have to miss school when I was sick. And I didn't catch colds very often because I wasn't around a lot of colds. I also was a part of once a week co-ops, which is like taking classes with other kids. But that was only being exposed once a week. So then in the high school, you asked about high school, I did the first 2 years homeschooled and then the once a week co-ops. And then the last 2 years of high school, I did a couple of classes at the community college and then the rest of the classes at home. That's how I did it.
Hey guys, my name is Jody. My question's for Peter. Knowing that Mary has CF, how do you deal with that and what do you do for self-care?
It's a great question. I think that one of the ways that I process being a husband to somebody with cystic fibrosis, and I think I'd apply it if I was talking to somebody who has someone in their lives with a chronic illness or whatever, is I in many ways try to change my perspective often on it. Like, it would be easy to view CF as a negative thing, and I think that goes for both Mary and I, and just how we think about CF, and just whether it's treatments, hospital stays, or the future, or all these things. In some ways it kind of becomes that challenge in our lives that we look at it from the perspective of how can we like conquer this as a team. And I think for me that's probably the thing that is biggest in my mind when it comes to, if somebody asks, you know, how do I process being in a marriage with cystic fibrosis or whatever, is like I look at it from the opportunity that it is of an opportunity to come alongside my wife and love her well and serve her well and do cystic fibrosis as a team. Because I think a lot of people will kind of look at our lives and say like, well, that's a big challenge that you guys have and how do you do it and that sort of thing. And I look at it from more of the perspective of it's the unique challenge that we have in our lives, whereas for other people you might have other unique challenges, and they don't, like, it's not worth like comparing and all of that, but we all have challenges that we have to change our perspective on, and that we have to walk through, knowing that it was C.S. Lewis that said that it's in this crucible of suffering that we grow the most, and like recognizing that cystic fibrosis is that thing in our lives that help us grow. And yeah, it's hard. And it's hard for me as a husband to process Mary when she's not breathing well. And like, even yesterday, like we got to church and Mary's coughing and out of breath, and like I'm holding her, and like that's probably some of the hardest moments for me as a husband. And yet I think because in those moments you just feel completely powerless, and I think that that is just, I don't know, part of the journey. Like in terms of self-care, like it's my faith that grounds me, and I couldn't do it without it. And so that's a little bit of... So you, for self-care, make sure that you are able to ground yourself. So carving out time. And drinking coffee. For me it's like that coffee and reading the Bible in the morning, and like letting my soul reset and find my hope and my delight in who I am in Christ, and living and looking at our lives and kind of changing that perspective on a regular basis. Is not something that happened when I married Mary. It's something that has to happen every day. And so, I mean, that goes for all of us, that faith is a journey and not just like a moment of decision. And so that's my long, short answer.
Hi, my name is Hannah, aka Chronically Healing, and I just had a question about how you deal with the subject of death and dying. I think that it's a very natural question to be asking from, I mean, not only from a chronic illness perspective, but just everybody in life. You know, we talk or we think more about death if we have like a health issue, but the reality is none of us know when our last day will be. And so asking or processing those questions about death is very natural as a human. And I think this piggybacks off what Peter was just talking about with our faith in Jesus. Gives us a new lens for which we look at these realities of life. For me, living with cystic fibrosis, I learned at a young age that this is a terminal diagnosis. And it doesn't, knowing that it's terminal doesn't stop me from living life. It actually propels me to like live each day and soak it up for whatever today holds. And
then on top of that, the reality of my hope in Jesus allows those days, however many I have and whatever they hold, to be filled with hope and joy amidst the realities of living with cystic fibrosis or chronic illness or whatever.
Yeah, I think last week I was preaching at a funeral, and it's in those moments. I've only had to do a handful, I think we were saying like six funerals, and walking with people through processing death. It's always like everyone approaches it with different emotions, different experiences, and yet I think deep within each of us is like that longing for certainty,
right,
when death seems like the most uncertain thing. And
it's like so many unknowns.
Yeah, so many unknowns, and so it becomes a lot personal for people with chronic illnesses who might experience like life-threatening kinds of things. For all of us, I think it's healthy to like ask the question, how am I going to think about death?
Right.
And in many ways, like my encouragement as a pastor and like as a friend to you guys online is to really ask the question of how does faith play into that. And I really believe that Jesus offers answers and certainty as you think about death. But so for us, like we just want to kind of answer it personally and our experience, like having hope in Jesus really does give us a new perspective on death.
Yeah.
Like I really don't know that I could handle the stress of walking with Mary in this disease without that hope. And I'm just being honest, like that grounds me. And so that's how we personally walk through it.
Yeah, and like the reality of death, just like anything, the tears come and go. The grieving process before the death happens, and you think about when it happens and then what's going to happen, and you think about it all, and your mind processes. And I don't know what I'm saying there, but I think you guys kind of see where we're coming from in that it's a human thing. It's a process, it's waves, and there is a grounding hope in that we cling to.
And I think it's important to say, like, I'm not saying that because we have faith that it makes processing death easy.
No.
It's a very hard and full of emotions, and but we do believe that through Jesus, death is not the end of the story.
Hi, my name is Anna, and I was wondering if your illness ever prevents you from doing something you want to do, and if so, how do you guys get past that?
Yes! Sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
There's my answer.
Can you think of like something that CF prevented you from doing that?
Go ahead.
Well, that comes to mind.
Laundry, dishes, cooking, mopping, vacuuming, clipping Ollie's hair.
Yeah.
These are the things that come to mind.
I thought that was what you were gonna say, and so I think from like an outside perspective, we often think about like big things that CF might prevent us from doing. But I think the more I walk with Mary through this, I learned that it's not like the big things, like she would love to be a police officer, or like something like adrenaline junkie kind of thing that she just can't do.
Yeah.
But it's not that she can't do that is hard, it's the dishes that she'd like to do, or the laundry that she'd like to do that's harder.
It's like the everyday little reminders that feels frustrating to me. And so I have to pace myself, on a day that I'm able to do stuff, I gotta do as much as I can. And sometimes his hair grows out a little longer because I've gotta wait another week or two until I'm feeling a little better, and then I clip it, and that's that.
And is there any advice that you'd give for, like, when you have to say, no, I can't do that? Like, how do you process that in your heart and mind?
Talk to somebody you know and love and who loves you. So maybe I FaceTime my mom and just hang out with her. And just remind yourself that you are not the tasks that you do.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Didn't know this one was gonna get emotional. Like, and I have to remind myself of that. And I think that I'm probably a pretty task-oriented person, and I love to like get things done, and I love that feeling. I mean, who doesn't? But as my body has gotten weaker, even, let's be real, in the last like week and a half, I have to remind myself as I'm less able to do kind of what I want to do. Or like yesterday, I walked into church and I wanted to be able to just walk up to the front and start practicing music with everybody, but I was held at the back trying to catch my breath. And so that was like a stark, like, I can't change my reality. But I guess the way that I processed that yesterday was I started crying. That was not my choice. That just happened. But then I wiped my tears off, took a breath, and stood up. And then when I was able, did what I could. So I guess, okay, I think here's my biggest thing of advice. When you can't do something that you wish you could have done, don't let that stop you from doing the things you can do.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't want to get stuck in the fact that, oh, I wasn't able to jog up to the front of the church and be there on time. I was stuck at the back. But I'm not going to sit there and think about that all day. I'm going to stand up and do what I can. Yeah. So I think it's a mental shift.
Yeah. I mean, one thing we often say is embrace your reality. Like, embrace what your reality is today. Mm-hmm. And that's like one of those that's way easier to say than to do.
Yeah.
But it's that perspective shift that I could focus on what I can't do, but instead I'm going to focus on what I can do.
And then you're going to do what you think you can't do. And sometimes that means allowing yourself to be in bed and rest.
True. Thanks
for being my cheerleader in that, and allowing my body to rest when it needs to, and just reminding me that I am not my tasks that I accomplish.
It's true.
Thank you, for real, for real.
For real, for real.
Good job filming these Q&As, man. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I really enjoyed seeing you guys in the video and like hearing your questions and your heart behind those questions. Thank you. Thank you.
And
as always,
we will see you tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.